happening in Indonesia, the example which is brought by the first positive side of the us is quite irrelevant toward the conditions of the current Indonesia itself. We see on how that he already mentioned to us that actually the condition which is happening in Orde Baru shows that actually the democracy itself is not upholded by the government itself. So what is actually being the case of these kinds of cases itself? We would like to say that actually we understand that actually basically the essence of a democratic system is actually expected to bring a goodness and not the hardness itself. But let's see on how the current condition of the theory itself cannot be implemented very well by the government of Indonesia toward the condition right nowadays. So that's why the chaos which is happening and the harm which is uprising because of these kinds of misimplementations of the government itself has shown that actually the government cannot show that actually this kind of freedom of expression itself is a form of a good thing which is going toward the democratic itself. So there are several questions I would like to ask toward the first side of the house itself. First, let's see on how that actually he had already stated to us that actually labor has no rights to show their own rights. But we see that actually until nowadays we still have May Day, which had already been granted by the government itself as a national day, which is we use that to show our aspiration toward the government itself. And so on how it would say that it is not supporting the democracy itself. So the next question would be on how that actually the democracy itself will be good if there is a limitation toward the democracy itself. Meaning that actually in the implementation of the democracy itself, there's still several there's still violation which is happening, and that's why the democracy cannot go in the right way, which is why it brings the harm toward the people itself. So I would like to back toward my cases itself. First, let's see on how that actually, I would like to say that actually the urgency or the status quo which is happening nowadays, that the government of Indonesia, not only the government, but also the people of Indonesia who are having different level of education itself, have already misinterpreted how is the understanding of the democracy itself, how is their understanding upon of the freedom of speech itself. And yes, we believe that actually the condition of democracy is everyone is free to speak, everyone is free to share their thoughts, but there are still rights that cannot be that there's still restriction toward the democracy itself, there's still restriction toward the freedom itself, and that's why we cannot simply say whatever we would like to do toward the society itself. But how the first speaker of the positive stated to us that actually this condition we are freely to talk whatever we would like to do. Everything meaning that everything is freely to pass. We would like to pass everything toward the society, or even forcing the society to accept our argument. But the current condition which is happening nowadays is not happening on that way. We see that actually in the condition right nowadays, there are still a lot of people who are still misunderstanding on how the conditions of this freedom itself. We see on how that actually the level of education itself cannot support and also cannot reflect the idea of democracy itself. Let's see on how the first example that I would like to bring to you, that nowadays we have two parties who have two dualism inside of their own party. First of all, they one part of the dualism itself, so that they are legalized by the government itself, and that's why they would like to do the recruitment toward their next generation of their own party, while another part of the party itself already trying to propose, even though they are ignored by the government itself, meaning that the government have already violated their own roles as the government to provide the freedom toward each part to have a mediation toward this kinds of conflict between two parties itself, meaning that the government simply use their position as the highest things, as the holder of the government stick itself, and that's why they would like to do whatever they would like to do toward their places itself. So another case which is happening like in Indonesia in the previous time, like just several months ago, which is happening, we see that actually there are two kinds of versions of the DPR itself. We see on how the first DPR stated that they are legal because they are chosen, because they have position, they have their highest position. Even most of the people which is coming inside of DPR itself consists of 60% of them consists of dominated by only one kinds of part, which is it is showing. Yes, please.
Actually, the dualism action is also the freedom of behavior, isn't it?
Yes, but let's see on how this kind of dualism have already brought that actually the harm itself toward the idea of democracy itself. So on how we'd like to say that actually this kind of dualism have already bring goodness toward the democracy itself. So I would like to continue my cases itself because they tend to think that they are a legal institution, meaning that they tend to speak without even they try to listen first toward the other case which is happening. Like the opposition. Yes, please.
What is your indication in extent of democracy where you think that it gives more harm than good? Thank you.
Sorry, I don't catch your question. Thank you. So what is actually we see that actually they only tend to speak without even try to listen to what actually the aspiration of the people itself had made them to defend their own arguments without even thinking how is the other argument itself. No thank you. And that's why we see that until the several days like no thank you, like the KPK and also the Polri, no thank you. No thank you. And that's why it makes them no thank you. It makes them no agreement which actually bring goodness toward the betterment of democracy in Indonesia. That's how I would like to say that that's actually bringing the harm toward the government itself. So we see another thing that which is happening. It's like when in the election era, when in the election time, like the previous time between the Jokowi and also the Prabowo itself, there already happened the provocation which is happening and uprising inside the society itself. They try to force the people to accept all information, whether it is true or not. We see on how they have already misused their education, they have already misused their level of education to provoke people, whether choosing the right people or the wrong people itself. And that's why we see that those conflicts actually harm both of the sides itself, not only both of the sides of the party between the Jokowi and also the Prabowo, but also that also harming the people itself. People have right to choose, but they are trying to be forced by any kinds of provocation which is happening from any party which is trying to propose themselves as the winner of the election itself. So we see on how these kinds of cases, we think that actually these kinds of motion has quietly cleared that actually the freedom of even though the expectation is for the business itself, the implementation cannot be applied very well toward the conditions of nowadays freedom of speech itself. Thank you.